Hey, I'm Ray Smiling. I'm a creative director from New York. This course is ultimately about creativity. It's about creative problem solving. It's about pitching a solution to a problem and being able to figure it out. We're going to work through a process so that you can create solutions, you can create work repeatedly over and over again. You can always get to an interesting, exciting solution to whatever problem that you have. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, to tell you where I'm coming from. And I tell you where I'm coming from not just to talk about myself and wax philosophical, but because where you come from will always factor into the work that you're making. It will always come into the solutions you come up with to solve these problems. And I want to show you how to tie where you come from to what you're about to create. As we're talking about creativity, I didn't have a specifically traditional entry route into creativity. I did not go to art school. I did not go to design school or anything like that. Music was always sort of the way for me to get into creativity. It was my way to learn how to make things repeatedly. In high school and in college, I was in a lot of bands. I played guitar, I played keyboard. And bands are a great way to learn sort of the tenets of creativity. It's, you start with a vague idea of a thing that you want to do. You have to work with other people and collaborate to actually bring that thing to life. And then you present it to the public, and either people like it or they don't. You go home and you revise it and you figure out how to make those performances better, how to write better songs, all of the things. So that was sort of my entryway into making things. And from there, I got very interested in sort of the things that are around music, making CD covers for my friends or making flyers for shows or things like that. And at this point, I was in college and I found myself spending more time trying to figure out how to make a CD cover in Photoshop than I was spending time doing the coursework that I was actually assigned. And with that experience that I had, sitting in my dorm room till 3 a.m. trying to figure out how to make something on Photoshop, when I graduated from college, I was able to get jobs doing design work. And this was not high-end design work. This wasn't, the cover of Vogue magazine or anything like this. I was doing basic sort of animations. But working professionally in design, it at least gave me, one, a great proficiency in how to make things fast, make things in a professional way. And it really sort of helped to raise the bar of my creativity. And this wasn't just something I was doing for fun anymore, hitting deadlines and being able to execute things on a consistent basis. From there, I moved into designing things for a video game company. I worked for a company called Rockstar Games. They make Grand Theft Auto, they make Red Dead Redemption, and various other games. A very big company. They have a very large footprint in the world of video games. And again, this was another chance to professionally make things and to really work on tight deadlines that were very important to the company. And when we made things, people saw it. When we would put out a video game, it would be on CNN. It would make lots and lots of money. There were billboards outside of the office. And so it was very refreshing to be able to work with people who were at the top of their game and very intent on, being detail oriented and really creating things that would stand the test of time and really excite a lot of people. From the world of video games, I got into the world of streetwear. When I was there, I started making videos and doing a lot of writing and copy for different pieces of clothing and things like that. And the thing that I learned there was really how to tie a vision together. So it wasn't just that I was writing the copy for all the clothes that were coming out, but we also had to shoot videos for it. And then we were working with musical artists and had to connect those musical artists to the clothing collection. And so this is where you get the idea of like how to branch out an idea and make it cover different types of execution, multiple bases, and make sure that your vision and your idea is really consistent throughout all of those and everything talks to each other and fits together really well. From the world of streetwear, I got into the world of advertising, which is ultimately the same thing with slightly bigger budgets. And so here we got into, again, another level of creativity and working with people who are working across multiple brands and have to be creative in very different ways. You might be one creative and you're working for Adidas in the same day that you're working for CoverGirl or a soup company or diapers or whatever. And You may be a great writer, but you have to be able to change your voice so that it can be the Adidas voice, but it can also be the diaper company voice. This is, again, an expanding of creativity and figuring out exactly how you can create work on a consistent basis that meets different voices, but always lands the thing that you're trying to talk about. It always lands for the client that you're working on. And from advertising, I've moved into the world of writing and directing a lot of short films and web series and things like that. And this is sort of a natural progression where I'm taking all of the things that I've learned from working in advertising, playing in bands, and doing design work and video games and all of that, and being able to tell the stories that I want to tell specifically and execute them in the ways that I want to execute them. I can paint the world as I see it. And I tell you all of this, again, not because it's particularly interesting or it's particularly important exactly what I've done to you, but what it is important is that you understand that this has been a process. And really everything that I've created, I've always held it to one bar, and that bar elicits a strong emotional reaction. You can make things that people love, and obviously that's great. You can make things that people hate, and that is not as good, but if people have a very strong emotional reaction to it, that still means that you have triggered them in some way and you have spoken to them in some way. They may not like what you have to say, but you have said something that has really hit them and that they felt. And the worst feeling is when you make something and people just go, it's fine, and they forget about it. You want something that resonates with people no matter where on the spectrum. We generally try to get the love as opposed to the hate, but sometimes you want hate. In any event, we are making things so that people will feel something, so that they will feel seen, that they will feel stirred, that it will pull them out of the malaise of their day. What I've learned over the course of creating work for more years than I care to remember is I've come up with a process that allows me to create work consistently. And no matter the problem that I'm faced with, I can come up with an answer. And this process sort of takes it step by step by step, but it allows you to get to things that you wouldn't ordinarily imagine when you first think of the problem. And ultimately, that is good work. Good work is sort of broken down to me into 4 tenets. It is insightful, it is dynamic, it is novel, and it's very clear. And so if we make things that hit all of those points, generally people feel things. If it's insightful, it feels true to them. People feel seen, they see the world around them. It is something that they understand. If it is novel, it is something they haven't seen before, and that excites people. People sit forward when they see things that they haven't seen before, experiences they haven't felt before, or things that are presented in a new way. If it's dynamic, that just means that it is constantly changing, or that it is very deep, that there are a lot of details, and you can look at the thing for a long time and you won't get bored. And clear, that's very obvious. You want to make it very clear what you're trying to say. This process that I've come up with that I will teach you in this course will make it so that whatever you make, you will create something that is good. And again, it will be insightful, dynamic, novel, and clear. In the next lesson, I'll talk to you about some of my creative influences and how they've shaped the work that I make.